Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Dan from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I am joined by Scott, Rob, and Lucas. You're probably wondering why we're all in football shirts. It's because England are playing today in the final of the Euros. Hopefully they will be lifting a trophy, much like one of us will be lifting a trophy at the end of our predictions.
Nice segue. I like that, Dan.
Either way, that's coming home to somebody. But football is either coming home or going to Rome.
Yeah, it depends when you watch it. If someone's watching this tomorrow, or a few days before the pay, we might be very upset.
Yeah, if you're watching it on demand, then obviously we are recording this just before the England and Italy game. But talking of titles, and should we start talking titles for WWE? And we will start with talking about a women's championship. That's the one that is still actually on the card, and that is Rhea Ripley defending against Charlotte Flair. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this match, that it's the wrong graphic from a wrong pay-per-view, because yes, it is happening again. But anyway, let's see who is going to be picking first for this one. It is numero 4. Rob, it is you first.
If anyone that's watched before or is the first time tuning in, I tend to get like the brunt of going first, which I think is unfair. It's not fair. There's a conspiracy going on. But
all right, Sam.
I really don't know. I've got my picks for every other match other than this one because I really don't know where they're going with it. But I just don't want to see Charlotte with a title again for a while. So Rhea Ripley.
You're going Ripley straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Right. See, for me, it's quite tough because obviously they're quite fond of doing dodgy finishes with these two, aren't they, as well? So do you risk a bonus point and say that there's a dodgy finish going to come in it, or do we just say that one of them's going to win outright? So got to think as well. So the first show after this is going to be... See, I'm trying to think this strategically. So the next show after this is going to be the Raw, which is going to be the first Raw back in front of live fans. Looking at the field for the women's Money in the Bank so far, there's 4 Raw superstars, 2 from SmackDown, 2 that have not yet been announced. I've got a feeling one of them is going to be a big name, but then they'll probably be on SmackDown. So it's, and I think they're playing Rhea as the face in this feud, although it's hard to tell with the Thunderdome stuff, and I don't think they know half the time. So, sod it, Ripley's winning. Rhea Ripley, I think. I just don't feel like Charlotte needs it. You know, I feel this may open the night and Charlotte somehow worms her way into the Money in the Bank match. But
okay,
yeah, so that could well be what happens. So, but I think Rhea.
Yeah, I find it tough because, so before we came on air, it's the least wrestling I've watched in a while. I just got burnt out after WrestleMania with Rematch of Mania seems like every pay-per-view. So, kind of been a bit burnt out, and football's took my mind over. But and especially with this feud, it's hard to tell because I think in the last ones I was like, yeah, if anyone's going to lose it out of the newer champs, it'll be Rhea first. Like Rhea will lose before Bianca, and I still feel like that's the case. So I'm still tempted to do that because. Sure, I know what you guys are saying, Charlotte's not, she doesn't need it, but that's not the way WWE see it. So, and what does she do if she doesn't win it? Like, where does she go? She's got to go into another feud. So, it's really tough. But if there's any time to shake it up, I guess it is the Money in the Bank, isn't it?
But then it's, do they put it on her and then have her as like this big like person going into the fans era as like the all conquering Charlotte Flair? And
you know,
it's another
I'm
way
going
they
to say
could go.
Charlotte's going to win. and I've got a weird feeling that the woman could cash in on Charlotte the same night. I'm not going to bonus point it like the women's Money in the Bank winner, but I'm not going to, because it'll make the fans think, oh, Charlotte again, and then she'll lose it, and that way she'll get her reign up as well, so get closer to her dad. Yeah, so I'm going Charlotte.
See, I thought Charlotte was a babyface in this. I thought, because wasn't last month they had the DQ and Ripley was like attacking her after the match? Wasn't that last month?
Yeah, but I think they're apparently, so people that have been on the Thunderdome thing have said that they've been instructed to cheer Rhea and boo Charlotte.
But Rhea's literally acting like a villain. Okay, right.
I don't think they know, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you got writers that don't watch wrestling. This is the problem.
We'll get to Bobby Ashley in a minute. Don't worry.
Yeah. I think Charlotte. Yeah, I think Charlotte. I think that obviously last month doing the DQ thing was a way to get them to get another match out of it, and a match that has to be decisive. It's interesting that they decided to give obviously the originally announced match for this, Bayley and Bianca are going to be an I Quit match, and they're still not doing any sort of stipulation or anything for Ripley and Charlotte, because surely you think with the fact they had a DQ, is now their third match, well, it's their third singles match together, and obviously include the Asuka match or threat as well.
And obviously what happened on Raw as well. So.
That it fits in a lot more. Like if it is going to be someone cashing in, I'm with Scott's mentality of like it could be a quick reign. But I hope they do keep the briefcase on people a little bit longer. This year, obviously last year we got a bit kind of cheated out of it with, obviously it was a nice gesture, but obviously with Becky handing over the belt basically to Asuka, and even like I think twice before women have cashed in like same night.
Yeah.
So it's getting a bit much now. So yeah, but I'll go Charlotte Flair. But I don't know. I don't think that whoever's champion now necessarily is going to really matter for the cash in. So I will just go with Charlotte Flair to win.
Cool. Yeah, I think we did say something about the Raw, the women's Money in the Bank. I think Carmella's the only person that's held it like longer than like a couple of days or something, and that was the very first one as well. So it's just crazy how they
I guess it's a bit easier having two. Like you could have one as the quick one surprise and one as the holding out storyline. Because this, like you say, like it is not. It's part of the gimmick. Is this like before we never had those cash-ins on the same night. We were always like, when's that going to happen for the first time? And a big part of it, of the Money in the Bank, is not just the match, but it's that 6 months of carrying around a briefcase and making a story, like whether or not you're dancing with it like Brock Lesnar or you're cowardly Healy, you're being a heel trying to cash it in and running away. Like there's a lot to the Money in the Bank, and it is a shame when we sometimes lose that straight away.
Yeah, definitely. It's just hopefully they do something with both of them this year, actually, and something quite good and surprising, actually. So we're going to move on now to another title match, and that is Bobby Lashley. I do watch a product, so I know his name. And he's going to be taking on Kofi Kingston. So who's going to go first for this one? It is number 1. That's me. I don't see anything other than a Bobby Lashley winning this one. I feel as though it's going to be another dominant performance. See now, although we're saying about the cashing could come from the women's side of things, I think whoever wins the men's one is cashing in on Lashley. I don't think Roman's going to get cashed in on at all. So even if it is someone from the SmackDown side of things, I feel as though Lashley losing it through that way is the way to go. I mean, I don't want to obviously spoil what the prediction is going to be for later on, because I don't fully know who I'm picking yet for the men's one, but it would kind of make sense for a story point of view if, say, Drew won it and then cashed in on Lashley, considering it was Lashley that attacked him to help The Miz to, obviously cash in on Drew. So that's one way to look at it. But yeah, I don't really see Kofi coming out of this as a champion. So Bobby Lashley for me.
Yeah, I'm the same. And I think Lashley's probably going to SummerSlam now. And whatever storyline we're going to have there, whether it is a returning Brock or someone like that, or they do Drew back into the storyline. I'm glad Kofi's in this position, though. Like that one and done. It still might be one and done as far as his championship reigns, but it showed that he belongs in that main event. He can work in the main event, and I'm glad he's getting another chance again. I don't think he's going to win it, but I'm happy to see him get another main event shot, because it didn't seem like that's happening. It seemed like he went straight back into, you're the New Day guy again, remember? You know, so I'm glad that they're using him again like this. But yeah, I agree, mate. I think Bobby Lashley's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I've echoed what you both kind of say. I don't know. Dan, it depends how they do this year's Money in the Bank, though, because the last 2 years they have had the rule where the briefcase holder has to cash in on the same brand they're on. So last year, for instance, like the men's one, they made it very, very clear that Otis had to cash in on SmackDown and on the Universe Champion. And then obviously when it went to Miz, the briefcase got drafted to Raw, and they made it very clear again that Miz had to cash in on the WWE Champion. So
yeah, I vaguely remember him mentioning this year, though, in commentary that they can cash in on whoever. I'm not sure if that was just the women's side of things, though, just because of how few women they've got.
Well, yeah, I've noticed the women's side of things. I had mentioned, obviously, that it could even be an NXT cash in for the first time too. So, but NXT cash in's a bit like ECW Rumble win, isn't it? I think, like, he wasn't going to have, John Cena win the Royal Rumble back in like 2008 and have him be like, oh, I'm going to cash in on like the ECW champion. It's the same way here, isn't it?
Out in the face of Sandman at WrestleMania.
Who might have been Bobby Lashley saying that. It could have been Lashley at the time.
To be fair, I mean, that would have been a decent match. That was obviously long past the kind of ECW, properly as we knew it. But anyway, yeah, I think this would be a good match, though. Like, I think Lashley's one of those where obviously he's shown us what he can do, obviously, with the bigger guys, obviously being with Drew for about 5 years now, it seems. But be interesting to hit this one. Like, I think, obviously, when we look at some of Brock's best matches, and we're talking about Brock, obviously, as he might hopefully be coming back for SummerSlam, like, I think look at some of Brock's best matches, they are against the smaller guys. Brock against people like Bryan and Styles. And I think Lashley, if they want to mold someone into that same kind of spot, I think this could be one to watch, to be fair. But yeah, I think Bobby Lashley is winning this match.
Wow. So I think I do think that Lashley will win. For Kofi's sake, I don't want it to be a one and done. I would love to see Kofi win it again. But Lashley's on such a good run at the moment that I think the only way he's going to lose it is if someone cashes in. However, I do have a theory about who's going to win and who would cash in on Lashley. So I'll tell you later on when we have that Money in the Bank prediction. But I'm going Bobby Lashley winning. So
yeah, clean sweep there for Lashley. I think though a lot of it does determine obviously who's going to win the Money in the Bank match. I think as well, because obviously like where they go like after this sort of thing. So yeah, let's move on to the SmackDown side of things, where we have Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Edge. Obviously, need to factor in the whole like Usos and Mysterios thing as well to see what's going to go on there. So let's see who's predicting first this time. It is number 2. So Scott, we come to you.
Oh man, I don't know. Part of me thinks, you know what, Edge is back for a reason. Didn't win it at WrestleMania. They delayed it, and this is the reason they're doing. He's going to win it this time, and yeah. But then I feel like really they're going to stop this monster huge reign from Reigns on the Money in the Bank, So from Edge, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. So, but then the other side, you could go Edge. He wins it. Someone cashes in on him. The ultimate opportunist has been, ultimate opportunized. I don't know how you'd say it. But you could see many different kind of versions of it. But I think surely it's still not time for, because it almost feels like a new feud because Daniel Bryan's not in it. So I can see this going on again further. So,
I think this is the first time ever they're facing one-on-one.
Oh yes, the match that should have happened until they put Daniel Bryan in. Yeah, so I think it's gonna have to be Roman Reigns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, this is probably as close to I've said to going the other way, I think, since Reigns obviously started this amazing title run. It's just obviously the Edge factor, it's a part-time factor. But for me, I still have to go back to my initial problem that I have with Edge is, and it's not obviously all his fault. It's just obviously the fact that he was part of an era where they had 2 championships and where they were very happy to kind of, have people, be drafted and have, shorter reigns and stuff. But it's still in my head. I can't accept that if Edge wins this if he was to win a championship, he will have the same title reigns as Hulk Hogan. It just doesn't work for me.
I think he will eventually, though. I think they will.
Yeah, like maybe.
Like how
I'm
Rock
just
come back
hoping
and won
that
one,
it's just as far removed as possible. You know, maybe it's given to him because he's sadly having to have, like, you know, he's been told he's got one more match, he's got to retire, so they give it the belt to him. That's the only way I'd kind of accept that. But for me, it's like when you think about Hogan and that belt, definitely in WWF at least, it's like, you know, his title reigns were huge. You know, and then especially even WCW, but people forget his first WCW title reign is still one of the records. You know, for WCW anyway, before you know, NWA like some longer reigns, but WCW's first reign was over 400 days. You know, and he had other reigns again that went on for the year. So for Edge to kind of match that, do you know what I mean? It just never, for me, it doesn't compute. And
but like you say, that Hogan's reigns were different. He had long reigns.
Yeah, but he had lots, but he also had loads. Whereas Reigns, you know, Edge, you know, sitting up there now with 11. But it's like, how many of those could you really remember? You know, actual being memorable reigns more so than just with Edge. Like, he got over with this whole like the cash. We were talking about, it's a pay per view. Obviously, Edge did very well. Obviously, in terms of the briefcase. Obviously, he's two of his big wins came from cash-ins, and they're so memorable.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was also cashed in on. You know, successfully. So he's been at both ends of the stick. So this must have gone new territory. Him kind of compete, just challenging for the championship at the pay per view. You know, which is interesting. Also, well, I think didn't he retire before the pay per view started? No, sorry, only 1 year. Yeah, 1 year. Yeah, sorry. He retired in 2011, so he had 1 year of the pay per view being a thing. So this is like his first. You know, time kind of coming back to it, which is weird. Because I could, you know, but yeah, look, this is a long way based on me saying I still think Reigns is winning, and I don't want Edge to win. And you're right, Scott. I think if he is to win, it doesn't feel right on the Money in the Bank, and it just feels like a new feud now, or like they've kind of gone, you know, if you were to kind of, they're basically giving it the Terminator treatment essentially, where this is the sequel to the Rumble. We're imagining like if the Rumble just happened, this is what the story would have been. Without obviously Dan O'Brien getting involved. This is what it feels like to me. So yeah, I will go with Roman Reigns winning.
So I'll be easy with saying that Roman's winning, but this is WWE, man. Like funny, I mean we've seen eyes pop out and Christ knows what else. So I really don't know. I mean, I want Roman to win, and this is no disrespect to Edge because I love Edge, but he does not need to be in this title feud. He doesn't need to be in the main event. Like he had his moment at Mania and he lost. Okay, I get it. He wants redemption. But if he's doing the right thing as being the veteran in this situation, he needs to lay on the mat and take the 3 count. Like he needs to job Roman to elevate Roman a bit more because that will push him even more. I'm sorry, but if Edge wins, I honestly, that would be disgraceful booking. You're telling me Roman's had this long ass reign. He's beaten all these people. He's done his head of the family thing, head of the table. He's the guy, and he loses to Edge. Like I just don't buy it. Even when Edge was in his, you say, prime or peak, I still think Roman would beat him.
Right.
Like regardless. I know that's a bold statement, but if Brock Lesnar come back, I'd take Brock winning it or The Rock. But Edge, I wouldn't. I'm sorry, but yeah, no. So I'm going Roman.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think for me it's got to be Roman. I do feel as though there's going to be like some kind of like obviously Usos help because it seems like whenever they've had Edge come back, they've always had him like thrown into these like big matches and make it seem like a big deal. And obviously the heavily rumored thing now is Edge and Rollins at SummerSlam. So it's either that then Edge wins the Universal title and Rollins wins Money in the Bank to maybe set that up.
Yeah, I'd love it without it, you know, like that's exactly what Rollins said. You don't need it. Edge can be a marquee with Rollins, like a dream match, and then we have the title somewhere else, you know, we've said so many times.
You know, and I suppose as well, like, because playing from like SmackDown, where they where Edge was actually saying to Seth about, you know, obviously he managed to get his way into the title match when Seth was like, oh, you know, I won it. He's like, you know, they've already picked me over you for this match, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I feel as though, yeah, Roman, I think he's going to definitely win the match. I think it will be probably quite a longish match as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't see the whole thing of like the part-timers coming back. I mean, you know, we don't know obviously how long Edge is going to be back for, but yeah, the whole thing of like the part-timers, so to speak, coming in, winning the big titles, like, you know, I didn't like it really when Goldberg used to do it and stuff. But yeah, I think for me, it's going to be Edge victory. So, sorry, Roman Reigns victory.
Oh yeah, I calmly went.
Yeah, me then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, anyway, so Roman Reigns victory, just to clarify.
Cool.
So we're going to move on now to, so we would have done the women's Money in the Bank match, but obviously there's only 6 competitors in that match announced. So we're going to do that on the preview show when we actually do that live. Obviously there was going to also be a I Quit match between Bianca Belair and Bayley. But obviously, Bayley suffering a sad injury, tearing her ACL. So she's going to be out for 9 months. Quite sad, actually. And then so they've announced that Carmella is going to be taking her place in the match, but it's not going to be an I Quit match. And it's not even going to be on Money in the Bank.
That doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, so we are getting Bianca Belair and Carmella. Do something
else, and it's a stopgap. But then you don't need to do the SmackDown match. Unless it is purposely to make something. It's so strange.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, if they're going to do it, and then it could be Carmella loses it only to get into the Money in the Bank match. I mean, but if we're touching a little bit on the women's one, just real quick, I mean, I'll throw up who's in the match at the moment. So Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan from SmackDown, and then from Raw, Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Cross, whatever the hell they're calling her now. But you know, Sonya Deville has obviously been going on just adding people in. I feel as though she could add herself into it as one of the entrants, because she's like, no one's won a match on SmackDown to get into this at all. For that side of it. And possibly, I think the last one could be either Sasha or Becky.
All I'll say,
which I hope is a surprise on the night.
Yeah. All I'll say with this though is obviously, Money in the Bank really is one where, like Mania. Like Mania and like the Rumble, to be fair, this is one of those kind of 3 where, as fans, we're kind of geared to expect things, aren't we? But it's very hard. So people watching this, like, my kind of thing is like, expectations are the thief of joy in the day, and so we've got to, expect some things, but then not expect too much, because I think, basically like now, like they're not going to throw like everything out there, and if it's a surprise, entrant, and it just happens to be someone that you don't think is worthy of a surprise or whatever, like just enjoy it for what it is. Like sometimes I think people jump on WWE too much, like thinking like, we're going to get Trish Stratus back, and we're going to get The Rock, and we're going to get CM Punk, and we're going to get all these people, when it might literally be the surprise entrant happens to be, like you say, it could be Sasha, it could be Becky, it could be someone from NXT, for all we know. And then they've got Shotzi and Knox now, haven't they?
And Tony Storm apparently is debuting soon as well.
They've got Doudrop.
Oh gosh.
Guess what?
Is this got fans in it at Money in the Bank?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, they've already recorded this week's Raw.
Yeah.
That's already been, so Thunderdome is now basically no more. They've taken everything out. So SmackDown on Friday is going to be the first show back with fans.
Okay.
So it'll be SmackDown, then obviously Money in the Bank.
I think that's what's going to make people think there's going to be surprises, Because
see, the thing is as well, it's like, I feel as though this whole thing with the Bayley thing, like what they could have done realistically, if they thought about it properly, was they could have just saved that and said, obviously we know Bayley's not going to be there, but then they could have done an announcement maybe on SmackDown, still kept Bianca defending the title on the show, but even if they said, oh, Bianca's going to be defending it against like whoever it is, if it's a big like return, even if they did a rematch of Bianca Sasha, and said like,
anywhere
okay,
it would work would be Becky, because Becky had the title and gave it up. Otherwise, anyone else would be like, how comes we're all clawing in a Money in the Bank match, yet you can come back in and get a title shot? The only one that would make sense in a fairness point of view would be Becky.
Yeah, but then I think that would have been the Raw side of it as well. But then that's it. Yeah,
they kind of need people over there, don't they? So
yeah, which is they've got the 3 girls now from NXT, which is good.
And obviously Seth's on SmackDown as well, isn't he? So
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense as well to put Becky over there. They need people there, but yeah. Should we get on to the last match then to predict?
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
So this is going to be the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. So the participants are Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison, Big E, King, Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. So let's see who's going first with this one.
I literally ain't got a clue.
I think everyone's thinking, please not me, please not me. It is number 4.
Back to Rob.
Go, Rob.
Big E. That's it, man. He's got to do it because my thinking earlier was it will be Big E that wins. Kofi will go against Bobby Lashley, and I reckon there will be a slight heel turn, and it will be Kofi and Woods basically destroying Lashley. Big E will come out and it will cash in, making Big E the WWE champion.
That's
So
actually pretty.
So like,
yeah.
So Big E basically steals his spot, basically. So like the Seth Rollins thing.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if they would, but that would be really cool. Interesting. I don't know where to go from there, but yeah, I like the idea.
And it will put Big E back on Raw.
Yeah, because apparently so that there is apparently the big talk is that he's actually one of the people moving in the draft, that they're really like one of the really early on picks that they're saying is Big E's going to be going to Raw. Like they said, that's pretty much nailed on. But
so are you bonus pointing that, Robert? So you're saying Big E, are you bonus pointing that he'll win the title as well?
No. So I'm just saying Big E, but that's what I think will happen for that reason.
You don't want to bonus point the cash in.
No, just in case it doesn't happen. If it does, though, you heard it here first, right?
Is that I'll bonus point it if it happens? Right. Okay. So it's coming to me right now. First, I'm gonna completely take Ricochet, Morrison, Riddle out of it, and probably Nakamura. So that leaves me with Drew McIntyre, Big E, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins.
It's really tough, man.
This is tricky because I mean, so it is quite stacked, and we did say that they're going to need something that's quite stacked, really. So I've got a theory. I don't think this is going to be the final lineup either. I think they're going to change it. I think there's going to be a change on the night. Someone else coming into it, maybe. I don't know who, but yeah, I just don't see. I don't feel as though maybe Randy Orton could come in because obviously the stuff that's been going on Raw with Riddle and that. But I think that's how probably Riddle will get out of the match. I've long thought that Drew was going to be one of the favourites to win because then that would be, I think, how Drew will get back into the WWE title picture. You know, use that like contract loophole of obviously can't challenge Lashley while he's champion, but can do it through the Money in the Bank contract.
Right.
But then likewise, what Rob was saying, like the Big E thing would actually be pretty cool, and then they could build him up. So it seemed like they were building him up initially to take on Roman, but it would be one to build up. And then obviously the Seth Rollins things, we know how good Seth was with Money in the Bank previously. So, it's so tough. We got one comment, by the way, just Johnny Black saying hi, everyone. So, hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
Let us know, who do you think is going to win the Money in the Bank match? Help me out here. Right, so I'm going to go. I'm going to do my pick now. I think it's going to be Drew McIntyre is going to win Money in the Bank because I think that Vince is quite high on him. I think Vince would like him, and I feel as though he's not. Obviously, he was kind of a bit hard done by because he held the WWE title through the majority of the no fans era, pretty much carried the company through that time as WWE champion. So I feel as though they're going to look at that and be like, well, you know what, this is kind of like a reward, so to speak, at the earliest opportunity we can give you. Without giving you the title, we're going to give you the Money in the Bank. And then, you know, it's, I guess, going to be that thing where it's like looming over Lashley, kind of looking over his shoulder every week, like, oh, is he going to cash in? Is he going to cash in? And yeah, obviously they've got the whole Jinder Mahal feud going on again on Raw with like Jinder nicking his sword and stuff. So, maybe they could play that into it and like sword versus briefcase or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, Drew McIntyre's my pick. Anyway, I've gone on a bit of a ramble there.
Yeah, I still find it really hard, even with you both saying different names. Like, it's just because I look at it and I always say, you want it to be that upper mid card that's breaking into the main event, and no one really fits that. Because you could say Big E because of what he was going through before. Is that Ricochet as well? I just don't.
There we go. Yeah.
Riddle, it could be someone long term where, like, years ago, like I would like someone like Cody Rhodes to have got it, who you could argue probably wasn't ready for a main event feud straight away, but they could see he was ready. He'd be ready in 6 months, and they could build him with the briefcase.
I think he was actually meant to, win it. The year Sandow won it, they apparently promised it to him that year.
Oh, really?
He was meant,
So
he was actually meant to win it.
One of those people you always feel like, that would be, breaking into that next thing and whatever else. Morrison, I just don't feel that way with him anymore. Seth's already done it. Rollins has already been to the top. Drew doesn't really need it, but what Dan says kind of makes sense. And then you've got Nakamura, who it seems like this year he's had a bit of, rejuvenation, and they're kind of using a bit more. So I could see it in that sense for Nakamura, but I think ultimately the default has got to be Drew. I think it's Drew.
So you're going with me with Drew McIntyre.
Well. Bit disappointing, but like you said, I think in front of the fans, big moment and all that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Lucas, you've got enough time. I think that sounded like your grubs arriving. So
yeah,
who's winning Money in the Bank?
Wait, who did Scott say then? Sorry,
Drew.
Okay.
I know. More importantly, what'd you get for food?
GBK.
You should have just said a burger, mate. We ain't got no brand deals here.
Okay, so we're getting burgers.
Whoa!
And Johnny Black, I'm not sure he's any relation to Malachi, but thinks Rollins might win Money in the Bank so they can write a story with Roman, Edge, and Rollins or Morrison because he needs a push.
I could see. Okay. Yeah, I could see Roman and Rollins being the story, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's difficult, right? So here's where I'm at. We can dismiss Trevor and we can dismiss Morrison because,
Trevor.
We can dismiss Riddle. I think, I do maybe feel they might switch him out for Orton. Anyway, but I guess that'll be something we can deal with, obviously, on our pre-show discussion.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably be dead like right before the match, like one of those take someone out.
We can dismiss Big E, Nakamura. So that leaves me with Rollins, Owens, McIntyre. Basically, I'm between those three. I'm only happy for McIntyre to win it if he goes and faces Reigns. I do not want to see him face Lashley ever again.
Oh, that would be great, actually.
And I don't want that to happen, though. I think he should stay. He needs a non-title feud, I think. He needs something separate from the title, because otherwise he's ending up in that awkward position where fans like him, but they can be sick of him. Always in the title picture, a la Charlotte Flair, And
so if he faced Reigns, he'd have to win it, and that's
that's mad, isn't it?
People are not gonna.
Buy.
Although Roman's a heel, I think the fans will be behind him too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Rollins. I think what Johnny Black actually said in that comment, to be fair, is a good scenario. He'd make a good holder of the briefcase.
Push right up again.
And I think it definitely should be a heel anyway. Which Drew isn't. I think when faces have it's just how they write it, really. It's just done very badly, I feel, when faces have the briefcase. Because especially when the champion is face, which at the moment they haven't got, to be fair. When the champion's face too, they make it too buddyish. Like, why would you want a team like last year we had Otis team with Braun? It just makes no sense. Like,
a lot was wrong about last year.
No, but it was fine.
You would, mate.
Yeah, I would go Seth Rollins.
And I think as well, you're saying about like the whole heel face thing. I think if they're going to have a face win it, then it makes more sense for the face to cash in on the night as well. So, much like Rob was saying with the Big E scenario, or they could do the same thing with the Drew thing. So, so obviously going into it, we've got obviously playing, as we've said already, for the trophy. At the moment, the scores on the doors is me at the top with 10. Scott and Rob are on 9, and Lucas, you are on 8. So it's really close and all to play for. There's going to obviously be a bit of shifting, and obviously we will be predicting some more matches if they're announced before the pay-per-view. That'll be at some time next Sunday.
On the build-up show, right?
On the build-up show, yeah. So, for now, I guess that is everything. Unless anyone else has got anything they want to add before we get on out of here.
I hope it's a good pay-per-view.
It should be. I think going with fans, you know.
Yeah,
I think we could have been sitting here talking about Extreme Rules, but we're not.
Yeah, and
we're
other times Money in the Bank has been like, it's almost considered that 5th big pay-per-view now, you know? So
yeah.
It's the best one out of the non-top 4, obviously. So, yeah, it should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with that being said, that's probably a good way to get out of here. So someone is going to climb that ladder, pull down the briefcase, and hopefully cash in successfully. Hopefully it's coming home to somebody, and yeah, hopefully football will be coming home today, boys. So anyway, that is everything from us. So thank you guys for watching if you're watching on demand as well, thank you, and let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. And don't forget, you can follow all of us on Twitter over at RN Pro Wrestling. For now, I've been Dan. This has been Scott, Rob, and Lucas. This has been the Money in the Bank predictions and preview. We will see you guys very soon. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Wow.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.